In Old Town Chinatown, a silvery high-rise on 2nd Avenue used to be the corporate headquarters for Northwest Natural Gas. Today, webs of thick black tape cover window cracks like homemade Halloween decorations. The sign on the corner reads "Retail space available," but inside, on the 6th floor, there's a happy haunting of sorts taking place.
This district had been called many names: Japantown, Chinatown, Historical Old Town, and unflatteringly, Skid Row.
Every day this week, Portland residents are gathering to share stories about the city's oldest and most culturally diverse neighborhood.
Immigrants from Chinese, Japanese, Filipino, Greek, Italian, African, Roma, and Jewish descent.
African Americans, historically all the way back to the turn of the century, have been welcomed at the Chinese restaurants.
They have all the produce and things in jars that dry, bugs and all that.
You're never worried about walking in and being refused.
In that day, the Roma community were living in their storefronts and very colorful curtains.
Joni Nakayama, Ed Washington, and Roberta May Wong were among those sharing stories on September 28th to kick off the Portland event titled Coming Home, Memory Activism in Historic Old Town.
She was from Ireland. She sold newspapers, but she never removed that raincoat. When she died, they uncovered thousands and thousands of dollars that were inside her raincoat.
Doug Honda's grandfather moved to Portland in 1915. He called the neighborhood Nihonmachi, or Japantown.
It was the only paper in Oregon that was published in Japanese. And he, I think at its peak, had about 25 employees. In that era, you had no other source of information other than radio and newspapers. So the Japanese community was dependent on him for their world news, national news.
Every one of these stories, and each and every one of us in this room, are tied together in some way or another.
The Coming Home event includes historical exhibits and walking tours, but organizer Shisao Hata made it clear that the focus is on Old Town's future as well as its past.
We need to kind of take the idea away that don't go down to Old Town because it's too dangerous, and we need to fix it.
As we think about development in our areas, we have to be sensitive to what business needs are and work to support those transitions when we're trying to build our city, but at the same time, at whose risk.
We need to address some of the underlying issues, but also address why did it get this way.
There was talk and dreams of a rainbow coalition, and we're still here. We faded a little bit in time, but I think that it's re-emerging, and this is an opportunity to share what that could be like.
Coming Home is one of 14 projects selected by Race Forward and Americans for the Arts for their inaugural Cultural Week of Action on Race and Democracy. Other community organizations hosting events this week include Cleveland Votes, the Dallas Parent Coalition, and the Michael Brown Sr. Chosen for Change organization in Ferguson, Missouri. All of the projects are different. Coming Home builds on the memory activism of the Vanport Mosaic, as co-founder and co-director Laura Laforti explained.
Stories are erased, and they are intentionally forgotten, and so we intentionally remember them and celebrate them.
Coming Home concludes with a Unity Circle for Humanity featuring local taiko drummers and folk dancers. The 2-hour gathering begins at 11 a.m. October 5th at 220 Northwest 2nd Avenue. More details are online at vanportmosaic.org.
Remembering is an act of resistance, and you now are a memory activist.
Reporting for KBOO Community Radio in Portland, I'm Carrie Stewart Lingle.